Hi, it's Stephen DiPietro from servicewithpurpose.net. Today I want to talk about how you can double your revenues in 3 years. Now this is a very important lesson in math and how to break things up and chunk them down. Now what I want to talk about is ask yourself a question, what makes up the revenue of my business? Now revenue is made up of only 3 things, and it can only ever be 3 things. And especially in a retail environment. But those 3 things are, number 1, the number of customers. Secondly, it's the price I charge my customers. And the third thing is the number of times my customers visit my store each year. So if you have a look at it, is there anything else that really makes up your revenue? Number of customers, number of times they visit per year, and the average price or the price that you charge your customers. So if you multiply the 3 of those out, you'll get your gross profit. It's not your gross profit, sorry. You'll get your revenue. Now, how do you double it in 3 years? Very, very simply, if you increase each of those factors, each of those by 8% year on year, you're going to get a doubling of your revenue at the end of year 3. So increase your customers by 8%, increase the prices by 8%, and increase the number of times each customer visits by 8%, and you'll double your revenue at the end of the 3rd year. So what's important about that and how it works is that not only do you have to chunk down the question called revenue, but you also have to chunk down how you manage an improvement in revenue. Now what do I mean by that? When you go to a manager or you go to someone and you say, look, you've got to double your revenue in X amount of time, or you've got to increase revenue by 20%, they grab everything all together. They grab promotions and pricing and product mix, and they look at staff training and motivation. Everything gets lumped in together to try to give them a little bit of improvement. But if you just focus on those 3 things, that's when you're going to get the results. Now, secondly, the second thing is in all of that is how do you deal with it in your management groups? So you've broken down a big problem into 3 different things, 8% in each. Then how do you manage it? Well, you give specific teams and champions responsibility for each of those. Give one person responsibility for increasing customers 8% year on year. Give the other person responsibility for increasing pricing 8% year on year, and give the other person the responsibility to increase the average number of times a customer comes into your store year on year. So if you get one person responsible for each of those 3, they go off and do their work, you're going to get your doubling of your revenue at the end of the 3rd year. So what's really important here is that you don't try to tackle the whole thing at once. Now what we're going to talk about in future posts is how to tackle each of those individually, but for the time being, if you want to double that income, don't solve the big problem. Chunk it down and you're going to have awesome success. Once again, it's Stephen DiPietro from servicewithpurpose.net. Hope you have an awesome day.